Everyone says that for vegetables to grow, they need lots and lots of sun. But what if your garden is completely shaded by your house, trees, or a fence? Does that mean you can't have any fresh vegetables from your own garden? Today, we're going to debunk this popular myth. You'll discover 7 amazing vegetables that don't just tolerate shade, but sometimes actually grow better in it. Get ready to be surprised, because you might be growing some of them in the wrong spot entirely. It's true that most vegetables love the sun. They need it for photosynthesis to build energy and form fruits. That's why standard gardening advice always starts by telling you to find the sunniest spot. But the plant world is far more diverse than you might think. There's an entire group of vegetables that have evolved to thrive with less light. They grow wonderfully in the cool, shady corners of your garden. And by knowing which ones they are, you can turn even your shadiest patch into a productive vegetable garden. Okay, let's look at who's kicking off our parade of shade-loving heroes. First up on our list is spinach. That's right, spinach. Spinach is a true lover of cool, shady conditions. Its tender leaves simply can't stand scorching sun. Under direct rays, it bolts very quickly. That means the plant sends up a flower stalk, becoming bitter and unpalatable. And we want juicy greens for fresh salads and healthy smoothies, right? So a shady spot is its ideal home. In partial shade, or even deep shade, spinach grows more slowly, but it becomes much more lush. The leaves grow large, tender, incredibly mild-tasting leaves, without that unpleasant bitterness often found in spinach grown in full sun. You'll get a harvest of much better quality. Plus, you can harvest it multiple times per season. Just gently snip off the outer leaves when they're ready. The plant will continue to produce new leaves from the centre. This is super convenient for a continuous supply of fresh greens. What's more, the soil stays moister in the shade, and spinach, as we mentioned, loves moisture. So you'll even need to water your patch much less often. Imagine lush, slightly sweet spinach leaves straight from your garden's shady nook. Perfect for fresh salads in early spring, late fall, or even summer if you have a good shaded location. Try planting spinach under the canopy of trees, along the north side of your house, or behind a fence, and you'll see how grateful it will be for these conditions. You'll get a real vitamin powerhouse. By the way, spinach is super beneficial for our health. It contains a huge amount of iron, vitamins and antioxidants. So it's not just an easy-to-grow vegetable, but a true superfood, right from your garden bed. Best of all, spinach grown in the shade doesn't take up precious sunny real estate. That's the space you need for heat-loving crops like tomatoes, cucumbers, or peppers. That's why spinach rightfully takes first place on our list of shade-loving vegetables. Just try giving it a little bit of shady space, and you'll see for yourself how delicious and abundant your spinach harvest can be when grown the right way. Next up, let's talk about our second plant, and that's leaf lettuce. Yes, just the regular leaf lettuce you buy at the grocery store. Like spinach, it also prefers cooler conditions. Bright, scorching sun can be a real problem for leaf lettuce. So, what happens to lettuce when it's exposed to intense sun? For one, the leaves become tough, and for another, and this is probably the most unpleasant part, they can start to taste bitter. Because let's be honest, bitter lettuce is the last thing we want to harvest from our garden. The bitterness develops due to stress from the heat and strong light. What's more, lettuce bolts very quickly in the sun. It starts to send up a flower stalk, and the leaves immediately lose their tender taste and texture. The plant shifts into reproduction mode instead of focusing on growing leaves. But in partial shade or shade, leaf lettuce thrives. The leaves grow juicy, tender, and most importantly, without bitterness. You can extend your harvest period significantly. The plant isn't in a hurry to bolt and continues to produce foliage. You can harvest the leaves gradually, as needed. Just snip off the outer leaves and the plant will keep producing. This ensures you have a supply of fresh greens for salads all season long. What's more, you can grow lettuce in the shade even during the summer months. While in hot months, growing it in full sun makes it bolt almost instantly. You'll end up with larger, fuller heads of lettuce. Pick a spot for your lettuce under garden trees where it gets only morning or evening sun. or planted alongside taller plants that can provide shade during the hottest part of the day. Leaf lettuce doesn't need a lot of room and is perfect for growing in containers, even on a shady balcony. Simply give it well-drained soil and consistent watering, and it will reward you with a bountiful harvest of delicious, tender greens. It's another excellent choice for your shade garden, and it's ideal for beginners. Our third pick for the shade garden is Arugula. This peppery green, known for its nutty, slightly mustardy kick, also isn't a fan of intense sun and heat. Like spinach and lettuce, direct sun causes Arugula to bolt quickly. This makes the leaves tough, leathery, and overly pungent. Sometimes they even turn bitter. But we grow Arugula for its tender, flavourful leaves, and planting it in the shade is the key to getting the best quality. In partial or even significant shade, Arugula may grow slower than in full sun, but the leaves grow larger, more succulent, and retain their tender texture and delicious flavour much longer. The peppery kick is still there, but it's milder, without that harsh heat or bitterness. You can harvest Arugula from the same plants all summer long. Simply cut the leaves as they grow, rather than pulling up the whole plant. The plant will keep growing back, providing you with a continuous supply of fresh greens. This makes it perfect for anyone who loves adding Arugula to salads, pasta, or pizza. Plant Arugula where it gets only a couple of hours of sun per day, for example, on the east or west side of a building, or under trees with a light canopy. In the shade, the soil stays more consistently moist, which is very important for Arugula. It prefers consistent moisture. Growing Arugula in the shade is a simple way to get a great harvest of this popular green with minimal fuss. Plus, it's a relatively low-maintenance plant. It's easy to grow, even from seed, and it yields a harvest quickly. You can start harvesting the first leaves just 3 to 4 weeks after sowing. So, if you have a spare, shady spot, definitely give Arugula a try. You might be pleasantly surprised by the results. You'll get tender, flavourful greens that will provide a steady harvest throughout the warm season. And it's just one more great example of how shade can actually be an asset in your garden. Coming in fourth on our list of shade-loving crops is sorrel. Yes, that sorrel. The one you use for green borscht or pies. Sorrel is a perennial plant, and it's beautifully adapted to life with less sun. While sorrel can grow in full sun, its leaves tend to get tough and yellow quickly. Plus, in hot, direct sun, it's much quicker to bolt, sending up those flower stalks. And as you probably know, we're growing it for those tender, tangy leaves, not the flowers. In the shade, however, sorrel produces larger, more tender leaves. They stay wonderfully juicy and don't get tough for much longer. Plus, you can harvest from early spring right through late fall. The more you cut, the more the plant is encouraged to produce new growth, ensuring you have a steady supply of fresh sorrel for all your culinary needs. A shady spot is essentially sorrel's natural habitat. In the wild, it often grows along forest edges or tucked away in thickets, where it's protected from direct sun all day. So, by replicating these conditions in your garden, you're setting yourself up for the most abundant and highest quality harvest possible. Sorrel isn't particularly fussy about soil, but it really thrives in fertile, moist conditions. The good news is that in the shade, moisture evaporates more slowly, which means less watering for you. It's also very winter hardy and just gets bushier and more productive year after year. Plant sorrel in the right spot just once, and you're set with this fantastic green for years to come. Sorrel's signature tangy flavour comes from the presence of oxalic acid and vitamin C. This not only gives dishes a unique brightness, but also adds nutritional value. Use it in soups, like that green borscht, sauces, fillings, or simply tear a few leaves into a salad for a refreshing zing. Don't underestimate this simple yet incredibly rewarding plant, especially if you have a corner of your garden that seems too shaded or neglected for most vegetables. Give sorrel a try there, and it's sure to reward you handsomely. It's the perfect solution for creating a lazy gardener's patch that will produce with minimal effort on your part. So, sorrel is absolutely another top choice for anyone with a shady spot they want to make productive. Number 5 on our list is radishes. Yes, that same crunchy root vegetable we love so much in spring salads. It might seem a bit odd since root vegetables usually crave a lot of sun, but radishes are actually quite different. The thing is, radishes are a short day crop. What this means is that to form that tasty root, they need a relatively short period of daylight. For vigorous leafy growth and a quick bolt to flowering, they need long days and plenty of sun. In the bright summer sun, when the days are longest, radishes bolt incredibly fast. Instead of putting energy into developing a juicy root, they focus all their effort on sending up a flower stalk. The root either doesn't develop at all or becomes tough, fibrous, and completely unappetizing. That's why radishes are traditionally planted in early spring or late autumn, when the days are still or already short. But what happens if you plant them in the shade? In the shade, the plant experiences a shorter day, in a sense, and this stimulates the radish to form a root rather than just leaves and flower stalks. Now, radishes grown in the shade won't grow quite as fast as those in full sun. However, the roots tend to grow larger, juicier, and much crispier. You won't get that bitterness or toughness that often develops in radishes grown in hot conditions under direct sun. Plus, the soil stays moist longer in the shade, which is crucial because radishes are very sensitive to drying out. Lack of moisture makes the roots small and bitter. So, planting radishes in the shade can be a fantastic way to get a quality harvest even during the summer months. Choose a spot where they get no more than 4 to 5 hours of direct sunlight per day. This could be under the dappled shade of trees or on the west side of your house, for example. This simple trick allows you to significantly extend your radish harvesting season. You can enjoy fresh, crisp roots not just in spring and fall, but throughout the hot summer too. You might also want to experiment with different radish varieties. Some are more bolt resistant than others, but even those will generally perform better in partial shade. So if you love radishes but have struggled with them bolting quickly, try giving them a spot in the shade. It can make a world of difference. You might be pleasantly surprised by just how delicious and juicy your radishes can be when grown with their specific needs in mind. It's another unexpected but highly effective technique for your shade garden. Our sixth shade-loving plant is cabbage. Many varieties tolerate or even prefer some shade. Leafy cabbages such as kale and broccoli do especially well. While heading cabbages usually need more sun for tight heads, they can still grow successfully in partial shade. Why shade? Cabbage, like other leafy greens, struggles with intense heat. Full sun and high temperatures can slow down growth and cause leaves to become tough. Heat also makes plants more vulnerable to pests and diseases, especially pesky flea beetles. In partial shade, cabbage grows more steadily and evenly. Lower soil and air temperatures create a more comfortable environment for development. Leaves tend to be larger, juicier, and more tender. Kale, for instance, develops a milder flavour in shade, avoiding the bitterness it can sometimes get in full sun. Broccoli also thrives in shade. While heads might develop a bit slower, they often turn out denser and more tender. This also allows for a more extended harvest period. Plus, shade helps keep the soil from drying out, which is crucial because cabbage is a real moisture lover. To grow cabbage in shade, choose spots that get only morning or late afternoon sun. Another option is to plant it between taller crops that can provide dappled shade throughout the day. Think alongside tall tomatoes or corn. Leafy kale is a fantastic choice for a shade garden. It's very cold hardy and can grow from early spring well into late fall, sometimes even surviving under a layer of snow. In the shade, its leaves actually get even tastier after a light frost. Growing cabbage in the shade might take a little longer to reach full maturity, but the payoff is significant. You'll likely have healthier plants and fewer issues with pests, which generally prefer sunnier, drier conditions. Most importantly, you'll get a higher quality harvest of tender, delicious leaves or heads. So don't hesitate to experiment. If you have a shady spot, consider dedicating some space to leafy greens or broccoli. It's a great way to make the most of every square foot of your garden and enjoy a fantastic harvest. And our seventh plant for those shadier spots? It's the humble carrot. Yes, they're root vegetables, and to form nice large roots, they definitely need some sun, but not direct, scorching sun all day. And certainly not for the leafy tops. Carrots are a crop that tolerates partial shade really well. What does that mean in practice? They only need a few hours of direct sunlight per day, preferably in the morning or evening. For the rest of the day, they're quite happy in dappled or partial shade. So what are the benefits of growing carrots in partial shade? Firstly, just like with radishes, the soil stays cooler and more moist in the shade. This is really important for developing straight, juicy roots. Carrots hate drying out. If they don't get enough water, they can become tough, bitter, or even crack. Secondly, in partial shade, the carrot tops don't grow as vigorously as they do in bright sun. Instead, all the plant's energy is directed towards forming that root. The carrots themselves tend to be straighter, larger and sweeter. You avoid that toughness and stringiness that can sometimes develop in carrots grown in hot, dry, full sun. Plant your carrots somewhere they get sun for just half the day. For example, an east-facing bed that gets morning sun, or perhaps nestled between taller plants that cast dappled shade during the hottest part of the day. It's important to remember that for a good carrot harvest, you need loose, well-drained soil without stones, and, of course, regular, but not excessive, watering. Maintaining optimal soil moisture is actually much easier in partial shade. It's possible your carrots might mature a little later in the shade than in a full sun bed, but the quality of the roots will be noticeably better. You'll get sweet, crisp and juicy carrots, and you won't have to sacrifice those prime sunny spots needed by other, more light-hungry plants. Growing carrots in partial shade is another great way to make the most of your garden's shadier areas. You can get a fantastic root harvest in a spot where you might never have thought to plant them. So, if you have a partially shaded corner, definitely give growing carrots there a try. You'll be pleasantly surprised by the results and the taste of your homegrown carrots. What's amazing about these vegetables is that in the shade they often produce more tender, juicy leaves. They experience less stress from the heat and direct sunlight. And root vegetables like radishes and carrots turn out less fibrous if the sun doesn't dry out the soil too quickly. Think of shady spots in your garden not as a problem, but as an opportunity to grow produce that might simply burn up or become unpalatable in full sun. Try planting these in areas where you thought nothing would thrive, and you definitely won't regret it. We hope this video was helpful and gave you some new ideas for your garden. Thanks for watching until the very end. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more helpful gardening tips. Give us a like if you learned something new. And now for the most important question. Which vegetables have you already tried growing in the shade? Or perhaps, which of these was the biggest revelation for you? Let us know in the comments.